So I've been having a little bit of trouble on my 80 series with the interior lights not turning off, and I narrowed it down to the door switches. The rubbers were all perished. This one here I've just replaced, but the rubbers were all perished off them and they weren't working properly on and off. So what I've done, because they were very expensive from Toyota, genuine Toyota, I went to the local wrecker and I went and found a Toyota Camry, and I pulled the Toyota Camry unit off, which is exactly the same except for the plug. So what I've had to do is I've had to cut off the plug. I'll go through that in a second, and I swapped out the plug, put the new unit in so that it all plugs in and it's good to go. They work great. It was $10 for the 4 switches from my local wrecker as opposed to $25–$30 each for the genuine Toyota ones, and everything's rosy and working great now. First thing you do, flip up the rubber, unscrew it like this. They're not usually really tight. When it pulls out, and you can see here where I have put the heat shrink on, and that's where I've soldered the original plug back in to my new Toyota Camry switch. They seem to be a bit better switch than the original Toyota 80 series Landcruiser ones. I've just soldered that back in and then it plugs back in. It's a simple fix, a lot cheaper than doing it the genuine Toyota way, and they seem to work fine. So as you can see here, these are the old switches that I've taken out. Some I've done, I'll do one here for you. You can see the rubber here is very perished. Wasn't making good contact, and I think it actually needed the thickness of the rubber to help turn the door switch off, or something's gone faulty down inside here. This one here, the rubber's completely gone on. So yeah, that one was sort of okay, but I still changed it. This one here, you can see I've cut the Camry plugs off, as they were a bit different. This one here is still the Camry one. I'm going to run through how I did this. First thing I did was grab my trusty wire cutters. I cut it about there just to give me a little bit extra length, make it a bit easier. Then I stripped it. I found it was a little bit interesting stripping it. It was very tight, as it shows on that one. That strips my wires down. Then I've cut the plug off the Landcruiser, so give it a strip as well. Probably should have left a little bit more tail on this one. Get a bit of heat shrink. I'm not too worried about colour with what I'm doing. Bit of heat shrink. Slide the heat shrink up. The way I did it, not saying it's the best way, but it worked. I twist my wires together. Grab my soldering iron and my solder. Gave it a nice little solder up. Slide the heat shrink back over, and then I used the soldering iron to shrink the heat shrink back down. That one there is now ready to go in. New rubber, new door switch and everything ready to go. I did find that some of my door switches had already been cut in the wire, so I had to cut and solder this straight in. They'd been put in without plugs. That was an issue. I just had to take the soldering iron out, soldered them in the car. It just means that they can't be unplugged now. They have to be cut and soldered if they need replacing. But that solved my problems. The Toyota Camry switch worked great, fitted in perfectly into the thing. The only issue was the plugs. When you put it back in, it just goes back in, slides up, lift up the rubber cap, and screw the screw back up. Just like that.